Lightning flashes in the world of finance. I can feel it crackle through the air, an electric sense of something ending or transforming. Everyone, everywhere, is talking about Bitcoin's latest fall. The whisper about fortunes vanished overnight, about dreams built high on invisible foundations where wind, not stone, holds the future together. I wonder if you've ever watched a storm roll in, knowing change is inevitable, and yet feeling powerless, naked beneath the heavens. That's where I find myself today. This is Crypto 101 Central. And if you're drawn to the pulse of this market, if you feel the fear and the hope that ride every tick up and down, subscribe. Become a part of this journey. Don't miss a turn of the wheel. Click the bell so that every new insight, every warning, every confession finds you first. There's a sadness in my voice because what we're witnessing isn't just a number falling on a screen. It's a story that began with obsession and promise. Once, not so long ago, people told me that Bitcoin was the future, the savior, the blazing comet that would outshine all traditional money. Prophets on the digital hills warned that fiat currency was doomed, that governments were paper tigers and crypto would render them obsolete. HODL, they shouted. Hold on for dear life. As if survival itself was staked on clinging to a string of code flickering in digital vaults. But I remain a skeptic, stubborn, set apart. If I place my fate on any number, it is 0. Is this the end? No. Endings are only ever beginnings in disguise, yet sometimes you glimpse the chasm and feel the pull. The energy costs alone, mounting monstrous, edge towards an apocalyptic crescendo. I remember being warned, for every 10 minutes, vast seas of electricity are devoured in service to an incorruptible ledger. The weight of all that wasted power presses on my conscience, a shadow that won't disperse. Let me speak to you plainly. It was a mistake. The financiers rushed in, fueled by dreams of easy riches, built on ETFs and arcane digital contracts. They brought Bitcoin onto the regulated stage, dressed it up for the market's grand ball, ignoring its wild origins. For what? Speculation. That ancient primal urge that built tulip bubbles and South Sea storms. Everyone reaching, borrowing, betting that what rises will never fall. They said speculating with borrowed money only multiplies your winnings. They forgot. The ground beneath can always collapse. Price swings are nothing new for Bitcoin. Even now, as I glance at the crumbling line on the chart, once it soared to $125,000, now slumped roughly at $65,000, I sense the old volatility, the chaotic dance. Yet this feels different, like something tectonic, a subtle shift in the undercurrents. Nobody can ever tell for sure, but my heart senses the fatigue, the strain. Nobody likes to talk about it. But the apparatus is so deeply tied to the fiat system, it claims to despise. There's a paradox here, almost poetic in its cruelty. People say Bitcoin will replace the dollar, the euro, all the tangled currencies of history. Yet every surge, every crash, mirrors the way governments tax and spend. The stimulus checks sent out during the old pandemic, they poured into Bitcoin because people had money to spare. Now, as fiscal tightening claws back liquidity, those very same waves turn to undertow, dragging investors down. The mirror reflects not revolution, but reaction. I feel the pain of those who believed, those private souls who mortgaged homes, maxed out cards, convinced they could ride the rocket upward forever. Morgan Stanley's men with pale faces entered the arena, and even governments consider Bitcoin reserves. And I am not afraid for the mighty. States will survive. It is the ordinary lives that break, savaged by the lashing whip of leverage and hope. I remember a story. I don't even recall his name. A man, 15 years ago, bought a pizza with 20 or was it 100 Bitcoin. Back then it was a trinket, a clever stunt. Today, the sum would have bought him the pizza company, or perhaps a fleet of them, before the latest plunge. This is not a functional currency. It's treasure locked from use, a curse disguised as blessing. You would be mad to spend it. And yet what use is money if it is not spent? It hollows itself out, echoing the emptiness inside faith grown too bold. The contagion gnaws at the market's flesh. As Bitcoin's fever spikes, its crash infects everything it has touched. Large positions, leverage to the hilt, buckle under pressure, like houses built on sand. Those who borrowed at 25% interest rates to chase a dream, what is left for them now but loss, in the hope that selling will staunch the bleeding? What is this, if not a grand Ponzi scheme? I think it often, say rarely. If something is worth 0 and you can sell it for 60,000, someone must arrive with greater hope, more capital, more denial. The only comparison that fits is tulip madness, a time when the humble flower, unremarkable, touched by nothing but speculation, bought houses and destroyed lives. Why did we let this unregulated force mingle on regulated exchanges? I see the story of Isaac Newton, of bubbles and collapses, playing endlessly on repeat. Regulation rose not out of bureaucracy, but out of hurt, out of scams that made the greedy and innocent alike bleed. And yet, here we are, the cycle returned, hubris undiminished. My own family was touched, drawn, and ruined by the shimmer of quick gains. Someone I love handed over 40,000, promised double, and watched it vanish to a pump and dump. The loss lingers, bitter, a scar amid the laughter. This pain is why we need trust, why prospects and legal bounds exist, to keep the darkest impulses of the market from swallowing all light. Yet Bitcoin brought its own darkness, a seductive anonymity. The shadowy fringes, where law does not reach, it survives. From contraband to ransomware, illicit markets need their own coin. As long as there are secrets, there will be use. For this, Bitcoin cannot fall utterly to zero. It finds a niche in the cracks of the world. Still, speculative fever cannot last forever. When governments spent freely, liquidity flowed and Bitcoin soared. Now, austerity bites, cutting back the very energy that fueled its rise. The promises of democracy faded. Wealth, like the old banks, concentrated ever more tightly at the summit. The reckoning feels close. I say, without bravado, that this could be the end. It is inevitable, I think, that energy draws the final curtain. I see the world tipping on the edge, our appetite for destruction threatening even the biosphere. When panic arrives, and it always does, when we realize that burning so much for nothing is a death sentence, governments will act. They will cut, without mercy, the wasteful, the frivolous. Crypto mining, with its infinite hunger, will be one of the first to go. Only what is necessary will survive. In those days, possibly near, possibly far, the vision of Bitcoin as salvation will end. Romance dies in the harsh glow of necessity, just as AI too will be trimmed to essentials. The world will no longer tolerate extravagance for its own sake. There is a kind of poetry to this, but it is a grim verse, one written in tears rather than hope. We built our beliefs on myths of money, of how value was created and destroyed. Private banks, governments, cryptocurrencies, all resting on foundations more fragile than spiderwebs, clinging to dreams that deny reality. I have made it my life's work to understand and model these illusions, chasing truth through the thickets of financial lies. The end of one story is always the birth of another. We are living through the slow, inevitable unraveling of Bitcoin's legend. Will we learn, or will we simply reach for the next illusion? Eyes shining and hearts already forgetting the pain. If you're still here, if you've walked with me through the valley of this reckoning, please like this video. Your response, your voice helps me know that these truths matter, that this journey is not walked alone. Speak to me, comment beneath, and share your own thoughts, your hopes, your wounds. Maybe together, in the open, we can find some sense in the chaos. And as the screen darkens, do not forget, there are other stories waiting, new storms forming. Let the bell guide you to the next horizon. Watch, listen, stay close, for the end of one age is only the shadow cast by the dawn of another. This is Crypto 101 Central. Till next time.